Welcome back, everyone, to Nation of Glory. The home of legends. The home of warriors. The home of stories that define greatness. If you're new here, make sure you stay till the end, because today, we're about to step inside the life of a man who redefined power, dominance, and raw determination. A man who conquered the wrestling world, the fighting cage, and even the football field. A man who proved that no matter where he goes, he's always the beast. This is the story of Brock Lesnar, the Conqueror. The anomaly. The man who became a living storm. Brock Lesnar's journey isn't just about victory. It's about silence, rage, discipline, and destiny. He wasn't made in the spotlight. He was forged in the cold fields of South Dakota, where the winters are long, the work is hard, and the dreams are even harder to reach. Brock was born on July 12, 1977, in Webster, South Dakota. A small town boy with massive dreams, and even bigger strength. He grew up on a dairy farm, where every morning meant waking up before sunrise, lifting hay bales heavier than most kids his age, and pushing his limits without ever complaining. That farm became his first gym. And every ounce of muscle on his body was built from sweat, not privilege. Even as a kid, people noticed something different about Brock. He wasn't loud. He wasn't a show-off. He was quiet. But when he moved, when he wrestled, when he competed, everyone stopped and watched. Because power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it growls in silence. Brock started wrestling in high school, and he was unstoppable. By the time he got to college, at the University of Minnesota, he was already a force of nature. He became an NCAA Division I heavyweight wrestling champion, dominating every opponent who dared to stand across from him. His coaches called him the Freak, not as an insult, but as a sign of awe. He had the speed of a lightweight and the strength of a heavyweight, a terrifying combination. But behind that power was something else: focus. Brock Lesnar wasn't wrestling for fame or fans. He was wrestling because he wanted to prove something, that he could be the best. And when he finally became the NCAA champion, holding that title high, the world took notice. Then came the call, from the world's biggest stage in sports entertainment, WWE. And from that moment, the legend began. When Brock Lesnar debuted in WWE in 2002, the world didn't know what to expect. But within seconds, they understood. This wasn't just another rookie. This was a monster. A one-in-a-million athlete who could toss giants like ragdolls and move like a panther. They called him the next big thing. But soon, that name felt too small. Because Brock Lesnar wasn't the next anything, he was something the wrestling world had never seen before. He crushed opponents with powerbombs, suplexes, and sheer brute strength. He destroyed the Hardy Boys, The Rock, and even The Undertaker in a way that made the audience's jaw drop. He was 25 years old when he won the WWE Championship, the youngest in history at that time. He didn't climb to the top, he launched there. But success comes with a price. The fame, the travel, the chaos, it began to suffocate him. Brock Lesnar wasn't built for cameras and interviews. He was built for competition. And after years of dominating the ring, he walked away. At the height of his fame, he left WWE. People thought he was crazy. How could someone leave when they had everything? But Brock didn't care what people thought. He cared about challenge. He wanted something real, something that would test his limits again. So, he turned to football. With no professional experience, Brock Lesnar joined the Minnesota Vikings training camp in the NFL. Everyone laughed, until they saw him train. He hit harder than veterans, ran faster than expected, and pushed his body beyond belief. He made it to preseason, almost securing a spot on the team, until an injury sidelined him. But even then, Brock proved something, that he could stand among elite athletes and still hold his own. Yet, the beast inside him still wasn't satisfied. There was another arena calling his name, one far more brutal. The Octagon. In 2008, Brock Lesnar made his debut in the UFC, the world of mixed martial arts. And once again, the world doubted him. They said he was just a wrestler. That he wouldn't last against real fighters. But Brock Lesnar doesn't hear doubt. He hears opportunity. In his second fight, he faced Frank Mir, and even though he lost by submission, the message was clear: Brock Lesnar was no joke. His speed, his strength, his ground control, it was terrifying. And then, the storm came. Brock went on to dominate the UFC heavyweight division, defeating Randy Couture to become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. He was no longer just a WWE star, he was a world champion in real combat sports. He became the first man in history to hold both the WWE Championship and the UFC heavyweight title. Think about that. Professional wrestling and mixed martial arts, two completely different worlds. And Brock conquered both. But behind the victories, there was pain. In 2009, Brock Lesnar was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, diverticulitis. He lost weight, strength, and nearly lost his life. Doctors said his fighting days were over. But Brock didn't accept defeat. He fought back. He recovered. And within months, he was back in the octagon, winning again. That's what defines Brock Lesnar. Not his muscles, not his championships, but his will. The will to never stay down. Eventually, after conquering the UFC, Brock returned home, to WWE. When his music hit that night in 2012, the crowd erupted. The Beast was back. And what followed was pure dominance. Suplex City was born. John Cena, Triple H, Roman Reigns, all fell victim to the suplex storm. Brock didn't just return to WWE, he rewrote its history. Then came WrestleMania 30, the night that changed everything. The night Brock Lesnar did the unthinkable, he ended The Undertaker's legendary 21-0 streak. The world went silent. The audience stared in disbelief. And Brock Lesnar stood tall, calm, emotionless, powerful. That night, the Beast became the Conqueror. From that moment, Brock's aura was untouchable. Every match he stepped into became an event. Every appearance was chaos. He wasn't a full-time performer anymore. But when Brock Lesnar showed up, the entire industry shook. And that's what makes him so unique. He doesn't need to talk much. He doesn't need to wrestle every week. Because his presence alone is dominance. Brock Lesnar's story is more than championships. It's about defying expectations, again and again. From the farm fields to the NCAA mats. From the bright lights of WWE to the steel cages of UFC. From illness to comeback. Every chapter in Brock's life screams one thing: relentless power. But here's the thing most people don't see. Behind the Beast, there's a man of principle. A father. A husband. A man who values privacy more than fame. He doesn't chase the spotlight. He runs from it. Because to Brock, greatness isn't about being seen, it's about being remembered. He trains on his own land, away from cameras, far from the noise. In the silence of Saskatchewan, Canada, Brock Lesnar remains who he's always been. A fighter, a provider, a machine of discipline. He once said in an interview, "I don't need to be the best in anyone else's eyes, I just need to know I gave everything I had." And that, right there, is the essence of the Beast. He's faced every kind of opponent. In the ring, in the cage, and in life itself. And no matter how big the challenge, Brock Lesnar always finds a way to conquer it. When you see him walking down that ramp, the arena shaking, fans screaming, and that intense stare in his eyes, you realize something. You're not watching a character. You're witnessing a force of nature. And that's what makes Brock Lesnar timeless. He's the rare breed who didn't just play the game, he changed it. Every time he enters the ring, he brings reality into an industry built on entertainment. Every suplex, every F5, every stare, it's real. It's power. It's dominance. After more than 2 decades, Brock still stands tall, respected, feared, admired. And whether he steps back into UFC, stays in WWE, or disappears into the wilderness he loves so much, his name will always echo as one of the most dominant athletes the world has ever seen. Brock Lesnar isn't just a superstar. He's an evolution of the human spirit. Proof that you can rise from anywhere, conquer everything, and still stay true to yourself. And that's why the world calls him what he truly is, the Beast Incarnate. Thank you for watching this powerful story on Nation of Glory. If Brock Lesnar's journey inspired you, if it reminded you that strength isn't just about muscle, but about heart, then make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories of passion, power, and perseverance. This is Nation of Glory, signing off. Where legends live forever. Stay strong, stay focused, and remember, beasts aren't born, they're made.